Pasquarello Electric Corporation brings us the driver of car number 19 from Guilford. It's Cannonball Kenny Horton.
They're just like their big brothers in the paddock area. You heard Tony Sutton talk about the Whelen Modified Tour guys. Well, these are one of the same. They're a little bit different in some characteristics, but they all carry one denominator, Matt. They are modifieds, and this is modified country.
And if you look at the front row, you have two guys who haven't had the kind of seasons they were expecting. Chris Jones in the 39, Lloyd Agor in car number 22, two drivers from Milford, Connecticut. Chris Jones, this is his second car that he's used this season. He had a red 39, damaged that one. This is a car in which he competed on the Whelen Modified Tour last year. Looked very good in qualifying. It should be quite a start between Jones, Agor, and 25 other hungry drivers.
Off turn number 4, they look for the start. There's the double greens. We're racing, and Jones leads the drag race down to the bottom of turn 1.
And
Trouble.
Larson in 44 winding up on the grass.
But everybody scrambles, and it appears they are okay. Will we stay under green? It looks promising as they come back to the line.
And Horton stays under Lloyd Agor to move into second place.
Kenny Horton trying to... He does it in less than one circuit. Meanwhile, Jones's race car. Remember the qualifying round, Matt, when Chris Jones went down into turn number 1 and that car just washed up. Is it doing the same now? Let's see what happens off turn 4.
Kurt Lanahan is off to a pretty productive start as he tries to tunnel his way underneath Lloyd Agor in car number 22. We said all season long, Kurt Lanahan, a very underrated driver. Tonight is a little twitch by Agor, but he's able to keep things under control.
Keep your eyes on Zach Sylvester, the 51 car. He's been getting strong. Oh, trouble! On the top side of the racetrack, we've got one around spinning like a top. It just darted out of line. Get ready, lights are off on the pace car. It's going to be showtime again. 3 up on the board of the 50 laps. 39 is your leader for Jones. 19 of Horton runs alongside. We're green and racing.
And a good getaway for Jones, but the Cannonball, Kenny Horton, coming up to challenge in car number 19. Keep an eye on Horton, and now Lanahan is able to slip underneath him.
You called it earlier. You said Lanahan is the surprise in this one, and he is. He moves into second. Second might not be good enough. He's all over the Jones machine. Now darting out number 19 of Kenny Horton. Trouble down the front straightaway. Burnt is involved with Anglesi. Eric Burnt's car, right front suspension damage. It's literally dangling. The right front wheel is off the front of the Cause Auto Sales,
wow.
Number 54. So let's see what's going to happen. Will somebody be able to steal the lead from Chris Jones?
And maybe the man with the best shot is a guy in third, Cannonball Kenny Horton, who has a pretty good starting position. Kurt Lanahan on the outside of the front row.
Well, Jones gets a nice jump again, smooth at getting the car up to speed and into the gearbox. Let's see what's going to happen. Now, Kenny Horton is just right there, but look at Lanahan. He is the surprise of the night, Matt.
Lanahan is having some strength on the outside. He is ahead by slivers over the 38 car, and Horton, you can never take an eye off him as he threatens to go 3 wide, now settles in behind Jones.
They are still wheel-to-wheel and side-by-side. Jones takes back the lead. Here comes Kenny Horton, the Cannonball. He rolls into second, and right there with him is the defending series champion, Lloyd Agor, right there on the bottom, and then Zach Sylvester. He's in the 6th spot with Burrill and Frank Rocco right there with him. Battle at the point. Still remains Jones as your leader, 6 laps and counting in this 40-lap event.
Good action side-by-side between Agor in the 22 and Lanahan in the 08. Horton making a move on Chris Jones.
They come off the turn. They literally slide in the same direction, almost picture perfect. And now Kenny Horton becomes leader number 2. Jones has to settle in second. Then it's Agor in third. Lanahan back to the 4th spot. Sylvester up to position number 5. Here comes Frank Rocco to the outside of Sylvester. That's where the action is. The outside lane is coming in, Matt, as we see more cars in this event going to the outside.
One car on the inside is Kurt Lanahan as he pulls off the 22 of Agor. And now Zach Sylvester is moving up, and he's followed by Bo Gunning.
It is Gunning glued to his back bumper. With him comes John Blewett. Remember, Blewett visited Victory Lane last Friday night, and Teddy Christopher's right there with that pack of cars. Gunning now working over Sylvester. That's the battle for the 5th spot as Frank Rocco goes to the outside. Big steam, a strong engine decides what's happening there. There's Bo Gunning back in it. 3 cars contending for the 5th spot.
That car, number 91, doesn't run well on the outside, however, and Bo Gunning is able to get the spot over the Earth Technology car.
Good battle going on right there, and behind them is Ted Christopher. Willie Hardy is there. Jeff Malave, the regional gun, and the number 18 of Jeff Burrill. Off turn number 4, it's still Horton to bring him back to the line.
Now Christopher is able to surge in front of the combination of Burrell and Hardy. So Ted Christopher, we're only 11 laps into this. Plenty of time for car number 81 to get to the front.
Leader still remains Horton. Jones still running in second. Now Zach Sylvester, who's been in a very strong 5th, goes to the inside, down into turn number 1. Trouble down the front straightaway. It is the Silver Fox. Brad Hytella got crossed up with the Rocco machine, and that brings out a caution. Race control has told him to give him the green, and they head down into turn number 1, and it is still Horton in command. Kurt Lanahan still holding on in the outside groove, Matt, and here comes Frank Rocco. He is right there underneath Zach. Oh, Jones is sideways, Matt.
And he is able to haul it back in, but Bo Gunning trying to take advantage as he swoops down low, decides to hold it back behind Jones. Frank Rocco on the move in car number 91.
Rocco is a man possessed, setting in the 4th spot. Remember I told you we haven't heard from...
Trouble is Owen gets involved, and also is that Woody. Yeah.
15 laps up on the big board. Kenny Horton is your leader. Rick Lanahan alongside. Run number 2, Chris Jones, and the 91 of Frank Rocco back up through the gears.
Rocco on the outside of Jones doesn't get the greatest restart, and Jones is able to scamper his way into 3rd.
Down the back straightaway, Horton still holding on, but for how long? Here comes the heat. It's Jones back in there, Gunning back in there, Christopher, Rocco, and the 3 of Jeff Malave.
Boy, it's an all-star team at the front of this field as Gunning, Christopher, and Malave start to work their way to the front.
Inside lane looks racy as now Bo Gunning takes over the 3rd spot. Lanahan is stuck in the outside lane.
You know, he struggled early in the year, but Bo right now looks as good as he ever did in his long career at Stafford Motor Speedway, and he's been racing since 1983.
Stafford's all-time winningest driver, Ted Christopher, moves into the 4th spot in the DePisa Brothers race car. Here comes Jeff Malave. He sticks the nose of that number 3 car in there deep and picks up yet another position here. Rocco, who was up in the top 3, bounced back to the bottom of the top 7, and he's now underneath Lanahan, 18 and counting.
A good battle shaping up between Chris Jones and Bo Gunning. That is a battle for 2nd and 3rd. Right now, Jones has Gunning covered.
He sure does, but for how long? Meanwhile, we see a little further back in the field, Zach Sylvester along with Blewett and Johnson, the team car to Sylvester. They're all in there. Willie Hardy is back into the game, but coming off the turn, back down to the line this time. Bo Gunning is all over the back bumper of the Jones car, setting in 2nd. Matter of fact, he plants a big one on the back bumper of that bumper as they head down into turn number 3.
Well, we saw some good work a few moments ago by Jeff Johnson, and now the focus is on Bo Gunning in car number 84, trying to corral the 39 of Chris Jones. Gunning's in a precarious position. In front of him is Jones, and behind him, the 81 of Ted Christopher.
Here comes Rocco going to the outside of Malave. He'll make the bid for it down into turn number 3. Off the 4th turn, that's the battle for the 5th spot. Will Rocco have it? Yes, he does.
But if Malave can keep Rocco to the outside, eventually he will get the upper hand, because that 91 car doesn't like the outside as much as it likes to hug that white line.
Malave still right there. He isn't about to give up in this battle, which is for the 5th spot. Meanwhile, Bo Gunning pulled out of line and now drops it back into position number 3. So it is still the Cannonball, your leader. Jones is still 2nd. Bo Gunning is still 3rd. Then we've got Teddy Christopher in the 4th spot, and still that great battle going on as Malave is back to position number 5.
But Malave is able to keep the 91 to the outside, and Sylvester now trying to work underneath Rocco. The action heats up at the front. And there is a battle between Malave and Rocco. Rocco not fading off into the sunset by any means.
And either is Sylvester or Beluit. So now we throw a 4-car combination into this one, and that's the battle for the 5th spot. Malave still guards his spot rather well on the inside. Horton on the outside, and here comes Sylvester. He took a breather from all of this for a while, but now he is right back on top of the steering wheel. He's pumped up.
Contact between Rocco and Sylvester.
And Beluit followed Sylvester through. Zach Sylvester is back up to the 6th spot. Then it's Beluit in 7th. Rocco shuffles back to the 8th position. 9th is Johnson, and 10th is currently Willie Hardy with car number 7.
Meanwhile, back up at the front, where the Cannonball Ken Horton leads with 13 laps to go. Ted Christopher planning a move against Bo Gunning in car number 84.
Can't do it, though. He's tried everything. He's got Christopher breathing down his neck as they head down into turn number 1. 28 laps complete. Less than 12 circuits remain in this event. Leader is still Kenny Horton. And Horton is not showing much for the wear, Matt. He has been very consistent lap after lap. His times are good. Now Jones tried to get a little run on it on the outside, Matt.
You know, I never thought I would say this phrase, Ben. Ken Horton appears to be pacing himself.
It does appear to be the story there. But for Bo Gunning and Teddy Christopher, they're not pacing. They're racing, and they're racing hard to get to the front.
And they're running out of patience, too, as Horton continues to dominate. Bo Gunning ready to make one of his patented power moves underneath Chris Jones, and he just can't get close enough to bury that front of his car underneath the 39.
When they come back, there's 9 circuits remaining. Todd Owen is back out on the racetrack with car number 90, trying to pick up some valuable points. But down at turn number 1, they touch.
Horton in trouble.
Big time
Jones
trouble.
takes over.
And Christopher sneaks in through the back door. Hello, he is there in 2nd.
So it is Jones in front, Christopher in 2nd. 2 guys who have gone nose to nose on many occasions here at Stafford.
Kenny Horton can't believe what just happened. Jones took back the lead. Christopher took over 2nd, and now Horton, who was once the leader, is battling with Bo Gunning for 3rd. And it all happened in less than a half a mile.
Jones tried to make a move underneath him. He made contact with the 19, and Kenny Horton tap danced to the outskirts of the track, and by the time he got things back under control, Jones had the lead, and Christopher had 2nd place.
Chris Jones's car seems to run better on the longer runs. That seems to be his advantage. When we went back to green from the last restart, Matt, he just didn't have the momentum. The car was loose and all over the racetrack, but after a few laps, that car is sticking and it's working. It is the leader down the back straightaway.
In the area in which it's improved, he is able to keep the car on the bottom now. Early in this run, he, as you said, he was wandering all over the track. Right now, he is able to keep it pinned to that white line.
But imagine this, Teddy Christopher on your back bumper. The DePisa brothers, they have wanted a victory for such a long time. They are very deserving as the car owners of this. They are looking for Christopher to put that car into the winner's circle. Will it happen tonight? Well, we are still 4 laps left in this event. There's Christopher. Made a nice bid for it on the bottom. Just didn't happen. Jones comes off turn number 2 like a rocket. Strongest point in the racetrack.
Here he comes again.
Yep, is for Christopher, is coming off the 4th turn. But by the time they get to the other end, Matt.
Well, he has time for 5 more bottom shots. 2.5 laps left.
It is still Jones in command. This time, when they come off turn number 4, Popsicle sticks her up. Jones's brother is the spotter. He is trying to lead his brother around this racetrack to guard that inside lane.
You know, Ted Christopher also has to worry about Kenny Horton in third place. We're down to the final lap and a half. Another try by Christopher. This one a little bolder, more aggressive, and again, Jones is able to fight him off.
Caution flag comes out on the field for the number 15 car of Johnson that spins and brings out the yellow. It's not over with by any means.
And my favorite three words are about to be sounded again at Stafford Motor Speedway. Green, white, checker with 2 laps to go in our 40-lap feature.
Get ready, hold on to the edge of your seat, because this is going to be a finish that we guarantee that you'll remember. Chris Jones, Teddy Christopher, row number 1, row number 2, the 19 machine of Horton, and the 84 of Bo Gunning. Now, if you were a fan of racing, and if you were here a couple seasons back, do you remember the story and what happened between Chris Jones and Teddy Christopher? There was no love then.
No, and we're going to see what happened on the replay as the 15 of Johnson is the car that gets into trouble. Oh, there is the incident between Horton and Jones, taking Horton to the outside and Jones to the lead. Let's see it from another angle.
Down to the bottom in turn number 1, and there it was.
And there is Christopher alertly scooting into second place. We go to Andy Crane on pit road.
Real quick, talking to the Ted Christopher team, I said, does Teddy have anything, and is caution a good thing? They said, let's wait till after, but a lot of smiles through the Prestige pit. Let's see if the TC man can get it done.
They are back up through the gears. Jones with a slight advantage down into turn number 1. The fans are standing in their seats.
So this is a dash for the dollars. Cannonball Kenny Horton getting underneath Christopher. Horton is second, taking a shot at our leader.
Jones is just a half a mile away from his biggest career victory. They scramble out of line. It is still. Now Horton's become a factor.
He has the leverage against Chris Jones.
Jones made the mistake of leaving the inside lane open. It's time to bring it down to the line. It's all coming down to the wire. Kenny Horton has done it. Jones will have to settle for second, Christopher for third, and Bo Gunning to finish in the 4th spot. And Ted Christopher and Gunning, at the end of the deal, a little tag. Was it a love tap?
Whoa.
You decide on that one. But Kenny Horton has done it. There's an old adage that says it's not done till they finish the event with the song of success. Kenny Horton has pulled it off.
What about another old adage? What goes around comes around. Chris Jones able to get the lead from Kenny Horton with 15 laps to go. And on the final lap, down the backstretch, the Cannonball was able to retaliate. I think because Christopher and Jones were on the front row, maybe people forgot about the Cannonball. But that right foot is something that he borrowed from King Kong, I think, for those final 2 laps. Chris Jones gave him a little room on the bottom. And there is vintage Cannonball right there. His second career victory in the SK Modifieds.
And there is nothing for Chris Jones to be ashamed of. Did a great job to finish in the runner-up spot. Teddy Christopher on top of his game, and the DePisa boys, they have a lot to be proud of as well as the owner of car number 81. Kenny Horton, the Cannonball, about ready to get out of that race car and celebrate. And what a celebration it will be. Some congratulations. And you can see he is ecstatic, and deservingly so. Let's go down to Andy Crane, who's right there and can feel the enthusiasm and the excitement from CarQuest Victory Lane. Andy?
Well, guys, enthusiasm is definitely the word for the Cannonball and the Pasquarello Electric Racing team as Kenny gets set to climb out of the race car. And the celebration is on for the Cannonball as he goes into the arms of his crew. As Cannonball, you wait till the last lap to make the charge to the front. Take us through it.
Oh, boy, I'll tell you. You know, Chris Jones, a great guy. I mean, listen, we were up there, we were touching each other a few times. He touched me to get by me, and I put the bumper to him to get by him. But listen, Teddy was out there what a race, you know. Just great driving. Thank God none of us went around. Last week I was sick over going around when I was in the lead. But just a great, great thing. And listen, where's little old No Tomasini? A good friend of mine, Antonio Tomasini, one of my biggest fans. Where is he? He's here right now, but that's for my father. My father's with my kids. Thanks, Robbie. My father's with my kids at a baseball tournament, so he's not here tonight. Pop Horton, that was for you. You know, earlier in the season, I told Frank Rocco, next time I win, I'm done. I'm retiring. I can't do it anymore. Like, too much stress. It's more stress here than, you know, business and stuff like that. And, boy.
So is this a retirement statement now?
No, no retirement. I'm racing in the tour race right after this, so we can't do that. But listen, Billy the Kid, great power. Does a great job for us all the time, the best. Chassis Dynamics, I can't say anything, you know, better about those guys. Junior Woods, my crew chief, my whole crew. You know, Frank Rocco. Frank Rocco was a dear friend of mine. We were trying to race for the lead last week, and we both went around, but Frank Rocco for getting me involved in racing. Armin Kuzo for getting me involved in racing. My brother Jeff, I don't know who to thank. I'll tell you. Thank everyone.
It's the Cannonball to fill himself into victory lane tonight, guys, with the celebration here in CartQuest Victory Lane.